Today, we're going to be making a meme with code. We're going to be doing things like setting variables to text and graphics and using properties to change them. These are some memes that are giving learning from home tips to students. This one says, "Don't get discouraged." This one encourages taking breaks and not sitting forever. This is actually something that we made in another version of Coding Club. You can see that I set my variables and then edit their properties in these kind of combined blocks. And that'll make more sense once we're in the code editor working on our project together. And we can also just make fun projects. So this is another project that someone made in the Make a Meme project. And this one just says, "Love pugs, love code." This line 13, and line 23 are rotating the text. And this person brought in vignette from our previous tutorial. Any code that you learn on VidCode can be applied no matter what tutorial you're in. So let's go ahead and learn a bit more about variables and then jump into the coding sandbox and make a meme together. Start coding. As always, you're welcome to follow along with this video or watch it and then go back and follow the tutorial on your own later. It's all based on how you learn best. To access the Make a Meme tutorial, sign into your VidCode account or sign up using the process at the beginning of the video. If you're under 13, ask a parent, guardian, or teacher to help you create an account. Once you're signed in, go ahead and click Start Coding. This will drop you into the course. You can see the different units available on the left. Today, we're just going to focus on Make a Meme. So if you see, we're starting at the top, it's the 4th tutorial down. It has this box, it says hello. So go ahead and click on that and that'll open the tutorial that we're working on today. So the very first step, just like last time, is to select a video background to begin. It's up to you if you want to upload one of your own videos. I've already recorded one here, you can see me. So you can either upload a video or a background that you have saved, or you can record a new one from your webcam. It's really, really easy to record a video or a photo with VidCode. You just open this up, and then you can press this button to record. Do something like wave, and then stop. And then you can go ahead and press save if you like it, or retake it and try another one. Once the video has been uploaded, you can use that in any of your projects moving forward. It lives in your media gallery now. I'm not going to use that video. I'm going to use one of the meme backgrounds that VidCode kind of has in its default library, but you're welcome to use any background that you want. I'm going to use this pug. So the meme that we're going to be making today is a meme that has a learning from home tip. A lot of us are thrown into virtual school for the first time. We're learning remotely for the first time. So this meme is going to be a learning from home meme. It's going to be advice to other students that you've learned about the best way to learn from home. So the next thing I'm going to do once I've added my background here is choose a graphic. Those graphics are going to be in this tab right next to backgrounds. So backgrounds is where we started, and I can click graphics to choose a graphic. I have a lot of options here. Just like with backgrounds, I can upload my own as well. Let's see. I'll use the fish. The SpongeBob fish. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and click next. So we finally see a variable after all that talk of variables. So as soon as I drag my graphic in, I see a variable appear on line 4. It says var myGraphic1 equals graphic fish. So this function is kind of holding and creating my graphic object that makes this fish appear on the screen. If I change the argument I was passing in, if I changed it to cereal, the actual graphic that would be available updates as well. So the cool thing about variables is that I can use them to change my code. So I can do things like move my graphic left and right, change the scale, change the opacity, change the rotation. And these instructions are going to walk you through that step by step. So here, if I type something like myGraphic.x equals 100, you're going to see my graphic is, it needs to be myGraphic1 because it needs to match what's on line 4. My fish is going to move to the right. We have an X and Y grid on each of our projects. X sets things horizontally, and Y sets things vertically. If you want to know where to put something on your canvas, a little trick is that if you hold your mouse over the canvas, you'll see the numbers. Do you see them here? There's numbers right under your project that update that show you the X and Y value of where your mouse is. It's a good way to kind of explore and get used to the X and Y values on your canvas. So when I set myGraphic1.x to 100, my graphic moved to the right. What would happen if I did something like set it to 200 or 300? What do you think would happen? Well, an easy way to check is to just try it out. And you can see that it moves further to the right. If I changed it to a negative number instead, you'll see it'll move to the left. So I can say here, the graphic moves to the right. So if X moves my fish up and down, what would .y do? Well, let's try it out. You can see that it moves my graphic down. If I set it to a negative number, it would move it up. A trick when you're trying to guess or figure out what a line of code should look like is to look at your previous code. Chances are your next line of code, .y, is going to look a lot like the line of code you just wrote, which was .x. So now let's play around with our X and Y graphic, or X and Y coordinates properties, to get our fish in a position that we really like. Or whatever graphic you chose. You all don't have to follow along with me exactly. You can choose your own graphics, your own messages, your own backgrounds to make a project that looks very different than the one that I'm making. All right, I think that looks okay. I can see most of my fish on the canvas. So the next property we're going to learn about is scale. Scale lets me change the size of my graphic. So if I write my_graphic1.scale, I can change the size of it here. If I change it to something like 2, it actually disappears, and that's because it doubled in size. Let me try and get it back on the canvas. There we go. He's like slowly coming back. And you can see that my fish is huge, way too big. So let's instead try and set it to 0.5. So the thing about scale is that it's different than size. Something like .x and .y are changing things by pixels. Size would maybe also change something by pixels. Scale is different. Scale, the default size is 1, so 2 would double it. And 0.5, for example, makes it half the size that it originally was. So with that in mind, play around and set your graphic to be a size that makes sense for your project. So same question, if my graphic 1.scale doubled the size of your graphic, what would make it half the size? And it's 0.5. The other thing that we can change in our graphic is the transparency. So similar to scale, the default opacity of our graphic is going to be 1. Opacity means that something is completely solid, you can't see through it at all, and transparent means that you can see through it, see behind it. So if I changed my graphic.opacity to 1, nothing would change. It's just as see-through as it was before, which is not at all. But if I changed it to 0.1, oh, I need to do my graphic 1 again. You're hardly going to see it at all. So we can change it to like 5. There we go. It's like a little bit of a ghost. So play around, change the opacity to something that makes sense for you. So the lower the number it is of the opacity, the more transparent your project is. The higher it is, the more opaque it is. Go ahead and take this time to make your graphic completely perfect. Make it a way that makes the most sense for your project. Play around with the properties, see what looks best to you. Okay, I like this. I like it kind of being just to the right of my pug. And a little bit transparent. There we go. So the next thing we're going to start to add after graphics is text. To do that, go ahead and take this coding block here and drag it into your code editor. Right away, you're going to get a variable called my_text1, and it's going to be set to this function text with the string hello getting passed in. So the first thing you're going to want to do is write your own string. You don't want your meme to just say hello. So go ahead and delete this and update it to a message that makes sense for you. In this case, a learning from home tip. I'm going to say, get comfortable. This pug looks pretty comfortable to me. So does this chilling fish dude. Just like your graphics, your text is going to have properties as well. Some of those include fonts. Let's update the font of this text we just added. So to do that, we write mytext1.font equals, in quotation marks, Oswald. You can play around with this as well. Try to see if we can use your favorite fonts. Things like Comic Sans. You can try some defaults, such as like a script. I don't know if that'll work. You could try something like Arial. I'm going to stick with Oswald, but choose your favorite font to set your text to. So if my graphic.x and my graphic.y change the position of my fish, my graphic, what code available in this quiz here do you think would change the position of your text? Well, it's probably going to look really similar to the code that we use to change our graphic. So I'm going to guess that it's mytext1.x and mytext1.y. And it is. So now that we know that, let's go ahead and start messing around with our text to change the X and Y position and get it in a place that makes sense for us. Just like before, if you don't just want to guess, if you want your text in a really specific place, you can hover your mouse over your canvas and choose a place where it should go. So if I want my text, let's say on the bottom, I can hover my mouse over here and see that where my mouse is right now has a Y position of 315. So let's go ahead and write mytext1.y equals 315. And that looks great. I'm going to move it down a little bit more. It's a little bit hard to read like that, so the next thing I'm going to do is change the color. To do that, I just write the name of my variable, mytext1.color, and then equals any color that you want. So let's try green. And make sure that it's in quotation marks. Colors are usually going to be strings on VidCode. Go ahead and click on this, and it'll open up this cool hex code generator where you can choose any color that you want. The other thing that we can change is the size of our text. So to do that, write the name of our variable again, mytext1.size, and then try different numbers. If you write 150, your text will get a lot bigger. If you write 30, it'll get a lot smaller. I believe the default size is 60. No, it's 50. Cool, so the default size is 55. So 55 is going to be the size that your text is before you start playing around. So use that as kind of a base and know that if you make it smaller, it'll get smaller. And if you make the number bigger, it'll get bigger. I'm going to set mine to 65. I think that's pretty legible. And I'm going to update my Exposition to keep everything centered. And that's great. You made a meme with code. Other things you can do are add additional lines of text. So if I wanted this to say, instead of just get comfortable before you start doing your work, I could move the X position of this up. Let's see. There we go. And then I could add another line of text by dragging my text block in. And this is going to be set to variable mytext2. So that means the name of this new text variable is my_text2. I know that because that's the text right after my variable. So you can see that it's different from my text1 because this has a 1 here and this has a 2. That means that I can edit the properties of my second line of text independently of this line of text. So let's go ahead and update the text of this. So get comfortable before you start working. I want my text to match my text1 in a lot of ways. So I'm going to go ahead and update the font here to also be Oswald. Oh. You have to make sure your variable names match. I'm going to update the color. If you don't know exactly what color you want, you can do what you did last time and just sort of add one here and then select it to customize it. And then I'm going to set the X and Y value to get right under get comfortable. Cool. I think this is looking pretty good. I think it's a little bit hard to read this. I'm going to change the color to make it a little bit more legible. See if we make it really dark or like much lighter. There we go, that works. Let's do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to select the color of my text too and just lighten it up. And yeah, I think that starts to make it easier to read. Cool. So on the last step, you're going to have all these different functions and effects that you had in the first activity that we did, make a filter. So if you want, you can go ahead and drag these in to change the effects available on your code, on your project. So if I wanted to, I could drag in something like vignette, and I would immediately see the effect on my project. I actually don't want to cover up my text and my graphic. I only want to have the effects that I add affect the background. And I can do that with something like an idea called sequencing. So my code is getting read in order, sort of the same way that you would read a book. So if I wanted vignette to affect the background but not the text, I could delete it and instead drag it up to line 4. And because my code is getting read with vignette on line 4, and then the graphic on line 6, and the text above that, vignette is not going to affect my graphic and my text. I really like the way this looks. I think it makes it easier to read my text. And this same concept would be true if I change the order of my graphic and my text as well. For example, if I took my graphic and added it under all of my code, it would actually cover up my text. See? Let me make this higher opacity so you can tell. So now I can't see my text anymore. And if I put it before my text, my graphic gets read and displayed first, so it doesn't cover up my text anymore. Drag some other effects in if you want to customize your project. I'm going to add a little bit of like a sepia sort of feel to this. Add some noise. And I think that looks good. So once you're done with your project, you can either save it for later if you want to keep working on it, or you can submit it. Name it anything you want. And then you can view your project. From here, you can edit it if you see something that you want to change later, or you can share it by giving someone this link or embedding it in another website.